the two kind of standard methods for researching. This one can be daunting. All right, but you can also combine these two. Once you've started researching a lot, this process, like my brain is like K Google. Okay, I've read so many K cards and K books and articles and stuff that when I see a topic, I say, oh, okay, I've already done this process over years and years and years of research. I've done this. All right, you know how many years of research? I bet more. I bet I have been researching longer than any of you have been alive. All right, is anyone over 18? Yeah.
We are too excited there.
Yeah. Okay, so one person in this room. I have been researching for 18 years. All right? I'm old. You can tell gray in the beard and all that stuff. So this thing, I can kind of just bypass this sometimes. But for you all, I would start suggesting this. Or I would suggest starting with that. All right, so now that you know the kind of two ways to actually research, let's start talking about the different places to research. So, where can you research? Where can you get research done? I hate that sound.
What is that?
I don't know, but it was happening in our room earlier.
Are you sure it's just like not you?
Weird
Because
noises.
it wasn't in the other room.
Yeah, welcome to Wooten Hall. Sorry.
Yeah, does it make noises? Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we're not under attack by like a large mosquito or something, which is my fear. All right, so where are some places that you can do research? The internet. Good. Good.
Library.
Okay, good. Books, library, very good. Good.
Database on the internet.
Yep, okay, so those are the two basic things, right? Either books in a library or the internet. So, let's talk about the library. If you want to do research at the library here at UNT, how would you do that?
Go there.
You have to go there?
Is it online?
Oh, the internet. All right, so before you even go to the library, and I'm just guessing at this, all right? I bet at the UNT library website, oh, look at that. Here you go. Not sure where to start? Oh, sick. No, I have no idea where to start. Internet, tell me. Oh. And you all can follow along on this if you want. All right, so go to the library's webpage at UNT, library.unt.edu. All right, and then you have articles and books. This is actually a way that you can research both online and offline at the same time. All right? I don't know, so I'm not just hearing things, right? Good. So the library is a really cool resource because you can get a lot of academic articles online. Now, there are better ways to do that, and I'm going to show you that later. But for now, just remember, you can go on this website, especially, you can't probably when you get home because it's like protected for only people at UNT, but you can look at all of these books here as well. So before you even go to the library, you can look for books. Like you can even get some of these books online, which is awesome. Here we go. Domestic wiretapping. All right, that seems like part of the topic probably, right? So you could just click that. And one thing I didn't do that I'm going to suggest, whenever you're doing research, always open in a new tab. Always open in a new tab. Why do you think that is? Good. Yep. Because if you're like me, as soon as you're done with this, you're like, oh, I hate this tab, I want to close it. And then you have to reopen it, it's all a big thing. So always open in a new tab. So now, you can do two things. You can either get the call number and then put a list together of all the call numbers of books that you want to get from the library. And then you can make your way over to the library. And I kind of suggest doing this, but at some point your lab leaders let you do library research. Go to the library and actually walk around the steps. All right? Because that's something that you don't really do that much anymore. When I went to debate camp, that's all we did for research. All we did was library research. So we would go to the library for full days and just walk around the library and collect books. And it's kind of cool. And also the way that libraries work is that books, you all know about the Dewey Decimal System, right? So books are going to be around, books that are about the same thing are going to be around each other, all right? So that's pretty convenient. So if you find one book, this domestic wiretapping book, chances are you'll be able to find a lot more books about this just by walking around the library. Now, if you're like me, or you're kind of lazy, or you don't have a bunch of time to go to the library, the second thing you can do at most libraries, and I'm pretty up right here, request this item for pickup. All right? And what that means is that if you're in a rush, if your lab leaders, like we don't have a bunch of time to do library research, you really want to get a book for research, then you can request it, and the librarian will go get the book, bring it to the desk, and you can just stop by on your way to lunch. All right? You can pick up those books, and they'll be ready for you, and it's really quick. All right? But that's how you go through libraries and find books. And books are really good. I don't think people read books enough anymore. Too much of debate research is just done online because it's easier. Books, you have to photocopy them and scan them and all of this stuff. There's a lot of really good information on books. All right? So that's one way that you can access the library. It's through the library website. And we'll be coming back to this library website in a minute. All right, somebody said researching online. What are some ways that you research online? Someone say the internet? Okay, databases. I was going to say, if someone said internet, you're not trying. So, databases, good. We'll get to databases, but where can we start? Where is the most common keyword?
Google.
Yeah, Google. It's right there. That one. Yeah. All right, so Google. So Google is interesting. It's magical. All right. You all don't understand how cool Google is. Being able to search the way that Google lets you search is totally revolutionary. All right. You all have always existed in the world of Google. I remember when Google came out. They're like, hey, here's Google. They're like, LOL, that's a silly name. And we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. So we're going to do the same search here. Domestic surveillance. We're going to look at all the different things that Google gives us here, okay? So, the first thing are the tabs at the top here. All of these tabs. Which one of these do you think will be useful?
News.
Shopping?
Yeah.
News. Good. All right. So, Google News. We have 112,000 results. Only 0.49 seconds. All right, so that's a lot of results. Obviously, we've done a really broad search. One thing that I would suggest is for broad searches, Google News can be a little daunting, right? Because it's like all of the news. But it can still be pretty helpful. A lot of these are repetitive, though. One thing is they're grouped kind of by categories. You see how this is right here? So these all released kind of around the same time, all kind of the same areas, but very easy to access. Google News, just open it up, and you look through all of these. Now, one thing about Google is it's not so much Google News, although sometimes it is like, here we go, let's open this one up. What can you tell me about this?
Shut up.
Gizmodo, right? What is that?
Rare Sunday session. Parts of the Patriot Act expire at midnight.
I was like, what's going on? Let me mute this. Sorry, I was totally
One
confused.
senator has vowed to make sure it
All right. That's the computer. That weirded me out. I'm not very good with technology, so I'm very easily scared by it. All right, one thing that you have to be careful with is Google is the credibility of the source, right? So I don't know what Gizmodo is, all right? So how could I maybe verify that this is a reliable source? The author. Okay, good. So we have a bunch of authors there. So how can we figure this out? How can we figure out about these authors?
Google author.
Oh, this is just a link. Ooh. Click that link. This just gives you all the posts by them. All right, so that doesn't help as much. So then you author, right? Very good. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. Won't let me copy them. All right, Jeff Larson. So one hint I'm going to give you for when you're looking for people is to put the term Jeff Larson is in quotations. What happens when you put a search in quotations? Exactly, that exact phrase, right? So this is going to give us things where it says who this person is. So he is a data editor at ProPublica. All right, how much does that help us? Why not?
We don't know what else. Wait, ProPublica.
Yeah, what's ProPublica, right? Maybe that's like, it's a blog I run out of my living room. You don't know. All right, so what can you do then? Oh, there's a wiki page. All right, he's an American political consultant, served as CEO of something. Okay. Political consultant. Is that a good qualification?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends like what he does.
Yeah, it depends, right? Like I could call myself a political consultant. I have a friend who's on the city council. Does that mean I get to write about stuff? Thank you, I appreciate that, but probably not. So what we do is check out what's ProPublica.
Yeah, it's really, both of you laugh the same thing.
All right, so here we have their website. This is maybe a little bit more interesting. Here's the wiki on them, nonprofit corporation based in New York City, independent nonprofit newsroom. All right, so Gizmodo, maybe not the most qualified, but certainly not terrible. All right, but you need to research to make sure that the sources that you're using are credible. All right, another issue that you may run into is issues like this Irish Times article. All right, so what do you notice about this? What is this article? Yeah, this is an interview, right? This is an interview. So what could the potential problems be with that?
What?
Hmm?
It's like it's not like maybe it's not like the actual fact.
Sure, it can be really casual, probably not peer-reviewed or reviewed very much, but also what matters is who's answering the question, right? So this isn't the opinion or gone through the editing process of the Irish Times. This is a question and answer with a particular person. So again, what would you have to do?
Google them.
Good. Google them. So you know what those are about. All right, so Google News is a good resource, especially for up-to-date stuff like politics disads, uniqueness for disads, and things like that. Google News is really great. The other part of Google, just Google Web. So this is all of the Google. Now this can get even more complicated when it comes to sources, right? You really have to be sure that you can defend the credibility of the sources that you find on the internet. So LA Times, probably relatively credible. ACLU, does anyone know what ACLU is? Okay, here's the trick now since we're researching. Whenever I ask a question, you should be able to tell me an answer. Good. The American Civil Liberties Union. Good. Did you figure that? Did you just remember that? Right? Yeah, just remembered it. I go, oh, I forgot. Google stuff. Come on, we're researching. Be active here, okay? So the ACLU, you should remember that. Why do you think I say you should remember that? Yeah, it's good for this topic, right? If you want to know about what they're called civil libertarians, right? And that's people who believe in civil liberties and civil rights and want to decrease government intrusion into those things, right? So if you want somebody, what side of the topic do you think the ACLU probably writes the most for? Yeah, the affirmative side of the topic, right? They would want a reduction in in domestic surveillance. So remember that as one of the resources that you can use. And we're going to talk in a minute about different think tanks and different organizations, and the ACLU is one of those. The Blaze, on the other hand, I'm just going to guess that one isn't worth the time. Why would I guess that? Because the Blaze is a funny name. Doesn't sound very credible to me. So make sure that you understand where these things are coming from so that you're not cutting cards from silly people on the internet. Where's another area of Google that you can use for research?
Scholar.
Good, Google Scholar. Google Scholar. How many people have used Google Scholar before? Good. I really like Google Scholar. I usually start my research with Google Scholar and then move on to databases. And the reason I do that is because Google Scholar already includes a lot of articles that are in those databases. So it's just an easier place to start. So let's, again, domestic surveillance, and go here. All right, now here, especially when you're at camp for this 3 weeks, this is really important because this is super fast. So in Google Scholar, on the side here, you'll have the top one means that, and this you'll get at home as well. And those top links those are free access links. All right, so if you see on Google Scholar that it has a PDF from Columbia, or let's do this one, ftlcom.com, that should be open access. But here at UNT, this is why you can bypass a lot of the so there are different levels of how good a search engine is. Do you all realize that? Like different search engines are higher quality, lower quality. Google is like super high quality search engine. So it's a little bit better search engine than the one that the library website uses, if that makes sense. So you can go here, but then these links, what is this? All right. Apparently UNT doesn't want us going too crazy on domestic surveillance, so their ad blocker keeps bringing it. All right, so here you see that this has brought us to the area of the UNT website, or the library, where we can get to the article. All right, and that's super fast. You see how fast that just happened? Do you want me to do it again? All right, ready? Bam. Bam. Here we go. How do I know which one? Because remember, I want to get the article, Bush lets U.S. spy on callers without courts. Okay, and then click on the full text at UNT, and these options come up. There it is, Bush lets U.S. spy on callers without courts. And there's your article. See how fast that was? So when you're on UNT's campus and UNT's interwebs, which is the technical term for it, that is really fast. Does that make sense to everybody? That's Google Scholar. All right, now those are the three main areas of Google that are good for research. Google Web, Google News, Google Scholar. Now, the next thing that you can use the internet for that somebody said was databases, right? Somebody said that. How do you get to those? Should I just Google it?
We have one or two.
Databases? Is that what you're, right? Where do you think we go? Yeah, I'll show it now. I'm going to do the letter by letter thing. All right. UNT Library. Now, I've never been to this website other than, a couple minutes ago. But, here we go. Lexisnexis. Lexisnexis is a good database for two things. In my opinion, two things primarily. News articles, all right, but I generally prefer Google News for those, just because on Lexisnexis, you'll get the same article like 100 times. So that's the way the news works, right? So the AP Press will say something, and then on Lexis, it'll show up from like 5 different newspapers. All right, so it gets a little redundant, but it's good for news. And the other thing Lexis is good for is law reviews. All right, how many of y'all have read a law review before? The cool thing about law reviews for debate research, law reviews are my favorite thing for debate research. All right, and the reason for that is that in law reviews, so articles, right, like news articles, what are people doing in those? They're reporting the news, right? In law reviews, people are making arguments. So in law reviews, you'll have law reviews where like every paragraph is a card, because every paragraph is making an argument. All right, so law reviews are awesome to research. Some of them are a little bit long. I'll show you how to get to those. So let's start with Lexis. All right, so here's what Lexis looks like. And then you can go up here and search by content type. So everyone get to Lexis on your computers. Raise your hand when you're there. I would suggest going through the library website the way that we did that. Try to follow along on your computers where we're going with this. All right, is everyone there? All right, we good? Okay. So then you can click here and say search by content type. All news. What do you think that's going to get you?
Everything.
All the news. Good. All right. And then for law reviews, where would you go for that?
The part that says
Legal.
law reviews.
Yeah. Sick. All right. Lexisnexis search. There you go. Now, one thing that I would suggest, we don't have enough time right now for me to go over all of them, but Lexis and a lot of other search things have their own language of searching. All right? So there's an entirely different language that you use with Lexis. So if I were to do a Lexis search for the terrorism DA, I would put in domestic within 3, surveillance within paragraph, terror exclamation mark, or actually just terror. We'll see if that comes up. Error. No. Oh, Lexis doesn't use these anymore. Never mind. All right. So, but you can use these within functions, and what that means is within that number of words. All right. So you can do W/P for within the same paragraph. And then W/any number will give you the terms within that number of each other. All right, and then to use more complicated searches, then you can put stuff in brackets. So you can do, I'm so bad at this type of keyboard. Domestic surveillance within a paragraph of terrorism or ISIS or etc., etc. And then it will search domestic surveillance, that term within a paragraph of any of the stuff within those quotes. All right? In order to learn that stuff, though, more thoroughly, you can go to the What's New, video tutorials, research guides. All of these tools will teach you how to use that. Okay? So that's Lexis. So let's go back to the databases. What are some other databases? Do you know any other ones? Okay, that's Encyclopedia, right? That's not very good for card cutting, maybe definitions and stuff like that. It might be okay for that. Some other ones. There is a whole list. I'm going to go through the good ones, though, for you. Proquest.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I bet. Proquest. Now, I have to have a disclaimer on this legally. My older brother runs the server for Proquest. So I have to tell you, I think it's really awesome, but that's also because my brother runs the server. So I have to rep my brother. Proquest. I usually teach this one first, but since someone said Lexis, I'll allow myself to stop. So everyone, put Proquest into your search. Click on Proquest. Connect to Proquest. Two things about Proquest. Two things that you should know. The first is that you should always click when you're reading. Is everyone on Proquest? Okay. So two things you should always remember to do. One is always click full text. Because there's a lot of stuff on Proquest that's not the full article. And that's like annoying. If you see like a really good thing that's like, oh, it's just a 2-sentence abstract. Like, why Proquest? Why? So always click full text. And if you're, not everyone is really big into high quality cards, right? We've all seen some pretty poopy cards in debate, right? But if you like to only cut good cards, also click peer reviewed. What does peer reviewed mean? Yeah, good. So it basically somebody couldn't just write whatever they wanted that was garbage, right? It had to go through a process where one of their peers would review it, hence the term peer reviewed. So that is generally going to get you higher quality evidence. That being said, if you're looking for a card that has the word extinction in it, right, you might not want to click peer reviewed, because most high quality evidence isn't extinction level evidence. The second thing about Proquest is this advanced search. So if you want to do a very broad search and search for everything on Proquest about domestic surveillance, that first screen is going to be fine for you. All right? If you want to do a more tailored search, then this advanced screen is much better. So in this one, you could do domestic surveillance, and then you can pick anywhere in the abstract, the author, the document text, document title, etc., etc., etc. I always pick anywhere. And then you can pick and, or not. So for example, if you don't want any evidence about wiretapping, right? You're like, I don't care about wiretapping. You can go domestic surveillance anywhere, but not wiretapping. Does that make sense? And then none of your articles will have the term wiretapping. And you can do and let's put terrorism. All right, here we go. Lots of different articles here. Now, you'll probably want to, as you get to know your search terms, you want to limit that down. All right, so that's Proquest. Have any questions about Proquest? Right, does anyone know any other databases?
Medline.
Medline? Okay, what does Medline have? Yeah.
That makes sense. I used it.
There can be uses for that. That's probably more targeted research, like if you want to research surveillance and medical stuff. JSTOR is another good one. Have you heard of JSTOR? Yeah, sure. I get that. All right, so type in J. Oh, that's not JSTOR. Oh, I need to go back. All right, here's JSTOR. Connect to JSTOR. And again, you'll notice that a lot of these search engines databases have very similar search interfaces. All right, so it's really about getting to know what's in each one. So JSTOR is really good for more highly academic articles. But you can see it works the same way. You can put a term in here. You can have near 5, near 10, near 25, and all of those. All right, let's look at the list of the databases and see what other good ones we have in here. EBSCOhost is another one. Let's see if they have that. There we go, EBSCOhost. And this, I always do academic search complete. And again, basic search, advanced search. You see how they're all pretty similar? So what I'm going to suggest amongst the lab leaders that we do is put together a list of databases that you can access through UNT's website. Okay? Another thing that I'm going to suggest to do is a list of think tanks and topic research. So we're going to go back and you can kind of see how those work. So I'm going to search Democracy Now! And you can see here a lot of democracy stuff. You can search. You can go to topics. See what we have here. Troy. All right, you have, it's kind of weird that I'm not making here, but here we go, domestic surveillance. So Democracy Now! Has an entire subsection of articles about domestic surveillance. All right, you see that? The ACLU. You know, one of the best parts of about this topic is that I now know how to spell surveillance.
I do
Yeah.
that every time. Every time.
It took me about a few weeks of researching before I started spelling it right. I'm pretty proud of it. It's not a big deal. But again, you see here, ACLU testifies on the need for regulation of surveillance by drones. How many people have thought about the drones app on this topic? Oh.
She did.
Yeah, drones app. Look at that, we just found a new app. But we'll put together a list of these for you to look through. But all of these are really good resources because they kind of put all of their articles in one place. It's easy to access. Now, I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes teaching you a couple tricks about Google, and then we're going to try to find some cards on Google. Okay? You all feel like you kind of have an idea about where to go for research? A little bit better? Okay, then let's get into researching. All right? One thing that I suggest while you're researching when we do this is to have a document open, and I always have a work document open. All right? And what that means is I cut all of my cards from a topic into the same document, and then I sort them into separate documents. All right? So, for example, when I was cutting cards for the starter pack, I still have a document that has a bunch of leftover cards in there that were about stuff that I wasn't even cutting cards about. All right? But that way, later, you can be like, hey, I'm going to go back and I'm going to write this dissent. Even though I'm not going to write it now, I'm going to cut the card now. Every time you find a card, cut it. All right? Because you tell yourself, oh, I'll go back and cut this card. Guess how often that happens? Like never. Okay? So just every time you come across a card, even if it's not about your original topic area, cut that card, put it into a general work document, and then you'll have it there when you're ready for it. The other thing that should be in that general work document are new search terms. So you remember how I said research begets research? Right? One area that you can do that is as you're reading articles, you find new search terms. All right? So, for example, there are a bunch of programs that the NSA does that I didn't know about until I started researching. So what did I do? Every time I came across a new program, I copy-pasted it and then put it into that document. All right, so now I can go back and be like, hey, I want to research PRISM, right? Or I want to research wire tripping, which is a specific phrase that they use. So always have a Word document that you can copy in new search terms, and that you can copy in cards that maybe aren't about what you're researching at that point, but could be helpful at some other time. Especially now that everyone is paperless, right? Awesome. So now that you're paperless, if you're like at a tournament, right, and you're like, oh, I randomly cut this card about this one thing, and then someone reads that, you're like, oh, I have this answer now, it's in my work file, right? And then you have access to that, you don't have to cut the card, etc. All right, so when doing a Google search, what are some good ways to do a Google search? Let me put one up here. You tell me if this is good or bad.
Bad.
Terrorism DA. Why is that bad?
Hard to know what that means.
It's probably connected to the nearest word.
Okay, yeah, it might connect it to the nearest word. Why doesn't it know what that means?
It's an active word.
Okay. It's a debate thing, okay? One of the things I think a lot of people, when they start really getting into research and debate, is they want to be like, okay, I have to find a link for the terrorism DA, so I'm going to put in terrorism DA link, right? Okay, this might have actually worked, but usually it doesn't. So make sure that you're not using debate terms, right? You don't want to use those debate terms. So instead, you might write in something like domestic surveillance. All right, so we'll put that in quotes. Domestic surveillance. Oh, took my quotes off. All right, now I'm going to show you a cool. Do you all know about the around function of Google searches? All right, so one way you can get specific with Google is to do around searches. And this is a limiting search, which means that you can pick how many words are in between your search terms. So if I want a domestic surveillance around 35 terrorism, this is going to search for the term domestic surveillance in total within 35 words of the word terrorism. All right, so everyone take note of how to do an around search, because that's going to really limit the search, the results that come up. Wait, what?
Okay. No, I have it.
Okay. So that's a way that you can really limit Google, is those around searches. And then that allows you to kind of get a better start. You're not going through as many silly articles. All right, let me check my notes, make sure I've covered everything. Google Scholar, Law Reviews, terms, review results. Yeah. All right, so once we're at this point, it can be kind of daunting, right? Like, how many search results do we have for this? 1,065 or 165,000 results for this search term. All right, so do you all have time to go through all those?
No.
Are we going to read them? All right, no? We've got like 30 minutes. You can do it, right? If we just split it up, that's only like a few tens of thousands for each person. Like, that's good. No, it's really hard. So what you have to do is you have to learn to scan. You got to scan stuff. So there are some things that, can help you. So titles, for example. You'll never guess how many terrorist plots the NSA... Okay, well, this one right away. I don't know, looks like a bit too hippie for me, but we'll see. You'll never guess how many terrorist plots the NSA's domestic spy program has foiled. All right, guess. People guess.
What?
How many? They say you're never going to guess. How many?
0.
0. Anyone else have another guess? 100 million? 105 million?
86.5.
25?
2,000. 13.
2,000.
13.
Yeah.
0. Had no...
No discernible impact on preventing terrorist attacks.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Guys,
I think it was right.
All right, so 0. Now, so we have this, right? This is from Motherboard. How many people have heard of Motherboard before?
that's it.
Okay, I haven't, right? And they've got kind of a trippy graphic here, so that's concerning. Let's see who Megan Neal is. The future is nuts. Okay.
I'm not seeing a.
What are her credentials?
All right. So let's see.
I feel like I'm being hit on the side. He was hit by a drone. My own hit was hit by a drone.
I did not mean Megan Neal is. All right. So, quick search of Megan Neal. Oh, okay.
E-cigarettes just got even up here. The back of the report. Hey.
Megan Neal is on surprise.
It's not a good idea. I'm breaking.
So she's the managing editor of Motherboard. Okay. She is, in 2012, she was the senior news editor for the Huffington Post. Associate editor for Healthy Living. All right, so she's pretty high up there as far as editors go, but outside of journalism, we're not sure of her external qualifications, right? So, how comfortable are we using this article?
Not really.
Not really. So should we just go back? Like, all right, close this. We're done.
No. Next article.
Okay. Well, what can we do with this article now?
See if there's any sources.
All right. Do you see these? What is this? So every time I go to an article that is good content-wise, but is not good source-wise, I open up every one of these links. All right. Now, I know this seems silly.
Why do you do that?
Why do I do that? Because now this one uncredible article has led us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other articles. Research begets research. All right? So even an article that is not high quality can lead you to other articles. The Washington Post. That's credible. Again, take this out of there. International security. All right, this is a pretty well-known cybersecurity think tank. It's a policy paper. Let's see who these people are. He's a program associate. Oh my God. I think I know this guy. This guy used to be a debater, I think.
That hair. Making it broad name.
Yeah. Huh. This dude used to debate for Dartmouth. This is actually a debater that I used to judge pretty frequently. So that's hilarious. There you go. David Sturman. He's a program associate.
Take that guy seriously.
Yeah. It was hard to take him seriously in debates, too. But how funny is that? Debate's so cool, isn't it?
Wait, debater.
That right there. That was a debater at Dartmouth. In 2000, he graduated in 2012. All right, and now he's writing articles that seem pretty good, pretty qualified. All right, so there's one article that we have come to from a less credible article. That's another Motherboard article. Oh, ProPublica. You showed that. Al Jazeera, that's a very credible source. International security again. Liberty and Security, a report of the President's Review Group on Intelligence. So just here, from this one article, we've come across LA Times. We now have, of those 9, 5 are from credible sources. All right? So how cool is that? So every article that you find should lead you to at least a few more articles on the same thing. Slate Magazine, that's pretty credible, it's more credible than not. You can look at the author. And this one again, you have these sites. So if you find one good article, that article between the internal sites and the footnotes should lead you to more good articles. Always, always, always research the footnotes and the external links, especially to good articles, okay? All right, so now we are going to cut some cards about the terrorism unit. And I want you all to find cards about that there is going to be a terrorist attack. All right? of your search terms might be for that?
Terrorism,
Okay.
attack.
Okay.
Soon.
Terrorism. What kind of limiting stuff might we want?
Around.
Okay. Whoops. Terrorism. Around. What do you want to put in there?
Let's say like 30,
30. Okay.
and then attack, and then
Okay. Well, maybe you want to do this then. If you're going to put attack. Do you know what that does? All right. If you put that there, we'll search for everything before that, and then terrorism, terrorist, terrorists, terrorist organizations, all that stuff.
What symbol? Terrorist exclamation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Terrorism around 30. Attack. Any other limiters you want to put in there?
Probably now or happening now.
Okay.
How about soon?
Soon. Okay.
or now.
We're shooting for the moon here. This is getting kind of debatey here. Right? Got to put brink in there. Terrorism around 30. Attack soon. What else?
Soon or now.
Okay. Soon or now. What else? Think about the topic. Well, now, in surveillance, we're just looking for uniqueness argument, right? We're just looking for an argument that there'll be a terrorist attack now.
Currently
Domestic.
Domestic, okay, or
US.
United States. Okay, so we'll put that in quotes. Does everyone have this in their Google bar? Everyone do this exact same search in your Google bar. Let's see what happens. Ready? Oh, didn't like, okay. I am the worst terrorist attack in the United States. Okay, the third one, what do people think about that? Have you heard of InfoWars before? Okay, the InfoWars people don't believe 9/11 was real. So, different people may have different feelings about the credibility of InfoWars.
Wait, are we trying to find the terrorist attack that's happening or still being
That it's possible, that it might happen. All right, so we don't have just a quick look here. We don't have very many what? There's not very good credible source. Oh, and also
Was it truth in action?
truth in action. All right, let's check that out. What is that? Fox News, okay.
That. Zero.
All right, truth in action, I'm going to say that's a no-go.
Why?
Because it's quoting Fox News. All right, so we're not really coming up with very many good, Liam Neeson here, come on. Okay. Western journalism, never heard of it. All right, so we're not getting some, see, look at this, 9/11 Commission. Okay, maybe. That's probably pretty old, right? We're looking for uniqueness, so we want stuff that's rather recent. So one thing you can do to limit that is hit search tools and go anytime, and let's limit it to the past year. Okay. Now, does anyone see this happen? Same thing, right? Oh! What is this? Alright, so I'm going to open this article and cut a card from it. It's okay. If it's good enough. We can at least say it's from Fox News, though. That other place was like not even a credible source, and they're quoting Fox News. That's like
Oh.
too many layers, right?
Right.
At least let's get it straight from the source of Fox News. So, this one is from yesterday, 2 days ago. Federal authorities have warned local law enforcement officials across the country that an increased concern involving possible terror attacks targeting the 4th of July holiday weekend. Alright, so that might have something good. The Washington Examiner. Americans are deeply worried that a catastrophic terrorist attack by Islamic militants, like the one Wednesday on a Paris magazine staff, will happen in the United States, according to a new poll. All right, what do we think about that article? Look at that. What does that paragraph say? Why might this be not a very good article for what we're looking for? Yeah, this is saying they took a poll and a bunch of regular people are afraid of a terrorist attack.
Well, isn't that common knowledge that people are afraid of terror?
Yeah, but what does that prove? It doesn't prove that there's actually going to be one, right? Okay, so this article, we can already say, no, this isn't what we're looking for. We don't care what the public thinks, right? 74% of the public thinks it's going to be a terrorist attack. That's not very credible. Okay, so we need to research now that we've done this in the past year. All right, so we're not coming up with very much good stuff here, right? So why do you think that might be?
To read something or research.
Good, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that's pretty funny, like soon or now, etc. So let's take that out.
I said one.
All right, here we go. Former CIA official. ISIS terrorist attack is possible. All right, there we go. Everyone click onto this article. Did everyone see how I got here?
No.
I think so.
Okay. I did it
Wait,
kind
we
of
did like the last week.
I got that.
All right, so you take around soon or now, take those out. And then it's this third link right here.
What the frick frack?
What does this article say? People read it. Let me know if you think there's a card in here. All right, is there a card here? Where do you think the card is from? Like, how would you cut the card then? I don't have verbatim on here, but let's see if there's word. How do these machines work?
Search word.
Oh, you can search. Yeah. Word. Oh, there's not word. Okay. Maybe. Dude. All right. So you all. Microsoft Office here. All right. So where should I start with the card?
First paragraph.
Okay, just the first paragraph?
The third one.
To here?
The one that, yeah, so that they have the pain.
Okay. copy this, paste it into verbatim. What do you do when you're pasting something into verbatim? How do you paste it? Who knows? Do you do just Control V? No. Yep, you hit the paste button. Or F2 if you have your, how many of you have your keyboard set up so the function keys work? Okay, good. Those are good debaters. It broke my heart the day I did that, but I did. So if you do F2, what that does is it copies it without any of the formatting from the article. All right, and that's very important for your documents working in SpeechDoc. So anytime you copy something into verbatim, make sure to do the special paste where you paste without formatting, which is F2 or the paste button on the top of the bar. Now I don't have verbatim on here, so I'm going to what is going on here? Paste, here we go. Oh, this is also confusing. Paste and
You can paste it in clear format.
what is this?
I don't know if you copied it or you
Oh, I didn't copy it?
Copy it and then
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Still doesn't want me. Control copy. There we go. Alright, so I now have the card in here. Is everyone at this point? Alright, so now what's the next part? What do you do next?
You highlight.
Okay, what do we do before that?
making like compressed.
Okay, you can compress it if you want to. Yep. But even before that,
Tag it.
even before, cite, good. You need to put a citation on here, right? Always do that next so you don't forget and then end up with a bunch of cards without citation. So how do you do the cite? You put the web page, and then when you paste the web page, how do you paste it? Yeah, good job. So CNN is the source. What the date on here, how do I know? I know that this is the date. How do I know that?
It's on the
It says on the URL.
Yeah, it says on the URL.
What?
Okay? So then you would go to CNN. What do you hit to make this into the correct site formation or format?
F8.
F8, good. Or the cite button on the top bar. So you would go to CNN and you would hit F8, go to 2015, hit F8. And there's one thing we have to add to this yet. What don't we have in our site that we need? Okay, the author, we're going to use CNN as the author because I think this is just a staff writer. What do you need? Okay, well, let's see Theodore Schleifer.
Wait, the data access?
Okay, yeah, he's just a politics reporter, so we're just going to put CNN.
Thanks. That's weird.
Yeah, he's got a fancy picture,
I
doesn't
like
he?
it.
I like, okay, simmer down. Data access, I think, is something that you're supposed to do. That's a good point. So data access, but you also need the article title. Even though it's in the website, people get all sad if you don't have the article title in there. Alright, so then you'll make this bold. And I'm just pretending like this is verbatim. You should never do this, by the way, where you just make it look like verbatim. Even if it's not in verbatim, why shouldn't you do that?
Because it doesn't format correctly.
Right, it won't work. Alright, computers are way smarter than we are. So computers will just be like, LOL, you just made it look like verbatim, but it's not formatted correctly. Okay, so we have a site, we have an article title, we have the website. You can add date access there if you want to. I'm protesting that as a citation rule, so I'm not going to. What do you do next? Okay, you could do a tag, but what I kind of prefer to underline first. Okay, I prefer to underline before I write the tag to make sure that it all works. So everybody underline this on your own. You pick out what parts you want. I'm going to underline it too. I prefer to underline and then you can highlight later, but you can do what you want. Alright. So once you highlight then, you can click anywhere in the paragraph and click the shrink button in the upper right hand corner of verbatim. Do you see that? And that will shrink the underlined text to a smaller font. You can also condense it so that all the paragraphs just become one big paragraph by highlighting everything you want condensed and then hitting condense. Those are all good ways to save space in the document. Alright, so this is how I've highlighted it or underlined it. You can see if it's different or the same as yours. Mine says Islamic militants have the ability to direct individuals to conduct small-scale attacks in the U.S. and could pose an even greater threat in the future. Moral, longtime intelligence analysts warned that ISIS could orchestrate an attack in the U.S. It's not far-fetched that ISIS or other terrorist groups could gain access to weapons of mass destruction. That would be the nightmare scenario. A terrorist attack in the U.S. that involved either chemical, biological, or other nuclear weapons. What do you think about that card? Alright, and who found it? We did, right? So you all now have worked together and you've cut a really good card for the terrorism DA. Alright, so how do we tag this really good card for the terrorism DA? It's the last thing we're going to do.
You could put terrorist attacks. Never mind.
Terrorist attacks what?
I said never mind. I'm stupid.
Okay, that's not a very good tag. It started good.
But you feel like terrorist attacks are probable?
Yep, sure. So maybe you want to qualify that a little bit though, right? How might you qualify that? What are the best parts of this card?
Terrorists can acquire
Yeah, weapons of mass destruction, okay. So when you're thinking about tagging a piece of evidence, you're going to want to think about what are the best parts of the card that I want to highlight in that tag. Alright? So we want to highlight that terrorists could attack in the U.S. and could use weapons of mass destruction. Alright, so how could we write a tag that did that?
terrorists cause
Okay, how about WMD terrorist attack imminent in the United States? Right, that's easy. Simple, doesn't have a bunch of extra words. So that's a good, efficient 10. All right, great. So now, all of you, do you have Louis' email address? Has he given that to you yet? All right. You should all email Steve and Louis and say, well, I guess not all of you have to. One of you can. Who wants to be the representative? Okay. So you email Louis and Pointer and tell them that we found a card. So save the document as terrorism DA card or something like that, and then email them that card so they can see that we all cut a card. Okay? All right, do you have any questions? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Do you all feel like you can research now? Kind of? Good. It's a process, and that's what I kind of want to end on for these last couple minutes, is an explanation that research is really difficult, okay? And research is something that students who are getting their PhDs still struggle with, all right? Research is hard. The only way to get better at research, what do you think it is? Research, okay? And it's going to be hard. You're going to not be able to find cards at first. You're going to tell yourself that there's not even a card on the internet that says this. And you're probably going to be wrong, okay? When I first started researching, I thought that there wasn't a card that used the term political capital in the entire internet. All right, the reason I spelled capital wrong, okay? So it's just little things like that. You're going to have a hard time researching. It's really hard. The only thing that you can do is keep researching and you'll get better at it, okay? And just remember that you have to have a process. Research begets research, and use all your available tools. All right, use all of the internet, use all of those books, and you'll be fine. You'll learn how to research. We already cut a really good card for the terrorism DA that you'll most likely be reading in debates here. Okay?